question is this presentation. Okay, great.
All right, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started. So today, I'm going to talk to you all about Yelp.com. I'm going to give some background for the folks who aren't as familiar with Yelp, just kind of give you the brief history, and then we'll dive into Yelp for business owners. Just by show of hands, how many folks here have used Yelp as a consumer to look up a business online? Okay, so just a few people. Got it. So first, before we dive in, I'm Darnell Holloway. I'm Yelp's manager of local business outreach. Trying to reduce my carbon footprint, so this is my business card for the room. Outreach at Yelp.com is how you can follow up with me after today if you'd like to email me. If anyone's on Twitter, at Darnell Justin is the Twitter handle. If you want to tweet during the session today, hashtag Yelp101 is the Twitter hashtag. So I'll give you just a few moments to take down this information. And as a manager of local business outreach, I do social media education on behalf of Yelp for business owners all over the US. I also work as a liaison between Yelp and the business owner community, so taking feedback from business owners back to headquarters so that we can continue to develop and improve what we're doing at Yelp. So first, let's start off with why Yelp exists. And at its core, our mission is pretty simple. Yelp exists to connect people with great local businesses. Consumers have a need, so they're going online to search for businesses now. If you go back 30 years, this is where we used to be. Folks were relying on the print yellow pages as a directory to find local businesses. There's a huge paradigm shift. People are now doing their searches online. And also, there's another paradigm shift that's happening here. And 30 years ago, oftentimes it was the businesses that were investing the most in the biggest yellow page ads or spending the most money on the biggest billboards that were winning the most customers. Now it's the businesses that are focused on providing a great customer experience and creating brand advocates of their customers that are having the most wins on the marketing front. Yelp is a relatively young company. We were founded in 2004 by Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons. In case anyone's wondering, that's Russell Simmons from PayPal, not Run DMC. I get that question a lot. And we added user reviews on the site because recommendations from consumers as well as consumer opinions posted online are amongst the most trusted forms of advertising by internet users, which is why a lot of the major sites are now incorporating reviews into their platforms. On top of that, 3 out of 5 American adults are now going to go online and do some sort of research on a product or service before making a buying decision. So it really speaks volume to the power of a platform like Yelp. Now, where Yelp is at today, we're one of the dominant players in the space. We get 63 million unique visitors coming to the site each month to look up information on businesses before making a buying decision. Also, on top of Yelp.com, the desktop site, we've got a mobile app. This is a cool shout out we got from Steve Jobs, the late former CEO of Apple. And he said when people want to find a place to go to dinner, they're not searching, they're going to Yelp, talking about the way that people are using the apps on their smartphones. So I just told you a moment ago that 63 million people are coming to Yelp.com to look up businesses. On top of that, another 5 million people are now using the app on iPhones and Android phones, as well as a BlackBerry, to look up businesses on the go. And these folks actually have a greater sense of urgency. What we find is that every other second now, a call is being generated to a local business, or GPS directions are mapped to a local business from the mobile application. So Yelp is transactional social media. This morning at breakfast, I'm sure a lot of you folks in general are hearing a lot of buzz about social media, how you need to incorporate it into part of your marketing strategy. There's a lot of interesting sites out there that are doing things that are helping businesses connect with their customers. But it's really important, before you invest tons of time and effort into having a broad and wide social media strategy, understanding the audience of each platform, understand how people are using those specific platforms. Facebook and Twitter are kind of the big players that we get lumped in with as well. But you also want to make sure that you're thinking about your audience in those situations and how you're catering your presence on each one of those sites. So to give you an example, if I go to Facebook, my first thought isn't necessarily I need a real estate agent, I'm going to go look on Facebook. Maybe I want to look at pictures of my ex-girlfriend. That was a joke, by the way. If I go to Twitter, maybe I'm interested in seeing what my favorite journalist or athlete is tweeting about. If I go to Yelp, I inherently need some sort of business or service, so I'm going there to look up information about what other people have said about this business before making a buying decision. So Yelp is transactional social media, really important distinction. So who's on Yelp? This is a question that I get quite often. The majority of people on Yelp, it does skew younger, but they are relatively affluent, educated adults. And if you think about it, the way that people use this site, again, is transactional. So these are folks that have money to spend. One of the first questions I get when talking to business owners is, well, don't people just go online to review sites when they're angry and they want to leave a negative review about a business? And that's actually not what we find out to be the case. In fact, about 80% of the reviews on Yelp are positive. And if you take a step back and you think about that, that actually makes sense, because most business owners care about the experience that their clients and customers are having. You hear the term that customer service is the new marketing. So that's actually reflecting on what people are talking about in their online reviews. For the most part, as you can see from this distribution of ratings, people are having an okay to great time with businesses, and they're talking about that. And then, of course, people do also have negative experiences, which they also review about as well. But the majority of reviews on Yelp are actually positive. In terms of the businesses represented on Yelp, this is the breakdown of reviews on Yelp by category. And 2/3 of the businesses on Yelp are not about restaurants. Restaurants is the biggest slice of the pie because they do the most volume. If you're a restaurant that's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to see a lot more customers versus, let's say, a dentist. Most of us only go to the dentist 2 times a year if we're lucky. But home and local services is where you would find the real estate category. That's representative of about 8% of the review content on Yelp. And these are growing segments for us. In terms of the review content, I just mentioned that we were growing. This slide is already out of date. 2 months ago, we were at 21 million reviews. We're now at 22 million reviews and counting on the site. So a lot of user-generated content. It's one of the reasons why Yelp is so popular amongst consumers. Another reason why Yelp is so popular amongst consumers is because we've taken a pretty aggressive stance when it comes to quality control with the review content that we're going to put in front of people. And we are one of the first and only review sites to take this aggressive an approach. So I'll walk you through the scenarios about why a review might come down on Yelp. So scenario number 1, users have the ability to remove their own reviews on Yelp if they choose to do that. So why might that happen? Well, let's say somebody has a negative experience. They review a business. On Yelp, we give business owners the ability to respond both privately and publicly to the people that have reviewed their businesses. So let's say a business owner reaches out to this person, wants to make the situation right, they work things out. The user can then say, you know what, I want to take my review down. People can also update their reviews on Yelp as well. Scenario number 2, we have a set of review guidelines that are enforced by our user support team. Now, generally speaking, we let people exercise their freedom of speech. But there are certain scenarios where something might cross the line and it would get taken down. So there's 3 things that we look at. One is we don't allow conflict of interest. So basically what that means is we don't want the employees of a business reviewing that own business or that business's competitor. Let's say real estate agent A starts going over to real estate agent B's page and blasting with negative reviews. Clear conflict of interest there, that would get removed from the site. Scenario number 2 is that reviews have to be representative of a first-hand experience. And then scenario number 3 is that we don't allow hate speech, lewd content, or threats, things of that nature in reviews. So if something like that is flagged, it'll be brought to the attention of the user support team, and reviews that do violate the review guidelines are removed from the site. The third thing here is that we've also got an automated review filter which monitors all of the people that are posting reviews on Yelp. And so why might a review site have a review filter? And unfortunately we don't live in a perfect world, so there are a small minority of people out there that will go on to review sites and create fake profiles to spam themselves or spam competitors. The New York Times just posted an article recently talking about the cottage industry that's popping up of people that are paying people to write reviews for businesses online. So because all that kind of activity exists, we have to have a security system in place. And we were actually one of the first review sites to have a review filter. And so this is, again, one of the main reasons why people come to Yelp in large numbers, because we do take a pretty aggressive stance with the quality control of the review content. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about biz.yelp.com. So yelp.com is the front-end site that you're going to go to as a consumer to look up businesses. Biz.yelp.com is where you want to go as a business owner if you want to set up your free listing on the site. And this is a screenshot of what the landing page looks like. So if you've already claimed your business page, this is where you log in, but also there's a button right in the middle of the page that says create your free account now. You can click on that. It'll ask you to search for your business, and then if your business exists on Yelp, then you can claim your page. If your business does not exist on Yelp, then you can create your listing instantly on the site, and that's all free. And I was talking to some folks this morning, and we were doing some searches out in Long Island for real estate agents, and they were pointing out that there weren't that many people that were listed on Yelp in the real estate category. And so what I told them is, this is an opportunity for you to be an early adopter, because there are some markets that we're still expanding into that are relatively new for us in terms of content. So if your listing does not exist on Yelp, this is an opportunity for you to create a listing, and also depending on how many real estate agents are actually listed in your area, you have the opportunity to be an early adopter, depending on your location. So let's talk about some of the tools that we provide for business owners on Yelp. I mentioned earlier that we give people the ability to respond to their reviews. So you can respond both privately and publicly. And it's something that I recommend that all businesses do, because here's the thing, if you're open to the public, if you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, those people are talking about you. Whether it's offline or now online on review sites like Yelp. So it's important to know what the conversations are about your business and about your service. And then of course we recommend that you join that conversation. I'll talk you through some do's and don'ts. We recommend that you do engage diplomatically. We also recommend that you don't do this. And this is kind of a joke, but in dealing with business owners, I totally understand how it can be easy to get fired up if you get negative feedback about your service or about your business. Having said that, though, it's really important to take a step back in those situations, and as a business owner, you always want to take the high road no matter what somebody is saying. And think about your customer service policies, and think about if that person were addressing those concerns face-to-face with you and how you would respond to that, and try to implement that into a written response. Just for fun, I've got some case studies in freaking out. This is a lot to read, so I'll give you the Cliffs Notes here. So we have Mike W. He left a 1-star review on a dentist listing in Berkeley, California. And what his complaint is that while he was getting a cleaning, the dentist was trying to upsell him on additional service issues. Looking around his mouth and was like, looks like you might need cavity filling, you might need a root canal, things of that nature. So basically he didn't like that, left a 1-star review. Bless you. Now what happens here is, not the dentist, but the dentist assistant replies publicly to his review, and she says, "Not true, Mike." She basically kind of calls him a liar, and she's a little bit snarky with her response. So now what happens is, if I'm a third party looking at this dialogue, if I'm a third party looking at this dentist page, I may not even necessarily care what Mike's initial complaint is. I see that the people that work in the dentist's office are kind of defensive and rude. So that might turn me off from thinking about going to this particular dentist's office. Also, you see this headline down here. It says, negative TripAdvisor review gets us tossed from a hotel. This is a true story about a couple that was staying at a bed and breakfast in the UK, and I think it was in the middle of the night, they were basically ejected from the hotel by the owner of the bed and breakfast because he thought that they left him a negative review on TripAdvisor. It actually turned out that it wasn't the couple that left him the review, so case of mistaken identity, and it turned into a PR nightmare for that particular business owner. So let's take a look at the right way to do it. And this is a lady, Linda G. She left a 2-star review on the Yelp listing of a Sheraton hotel. And basically what her main complaint is while she was staying there, the ceilings were leaking. It was raining outside, so water was coming in through the ceilings. We get a public response from Alyssa, and she says, "Hi Linda, thank you for taking the time to share your feedback. You definitely were visiting during a tough weather week, but we've had the entire roof replaced since your visit, so future rainy days will be nice and cozy at our hotel." So basically what she's doing is, although she's addressing Linda's concern directly and doing it politely, she's also doing it for the benefit of the third-party audience. Because now, if I'm somebody that lands on this Yelp listing, whether or not Linda takes her review down or updates her review, I see that the folks who work at the hotel are very polite, they care about customer service, and they've also addressed whatever this particular issue is. So it's an opportunity for you to do some personal PR when you're joining the conversation online about your business. Tip, don't ask for reviews. I know that might sound counterintuitive coming from the guy who works for the review site, but basically we recommend that businesses take a bit of a hands-off approach when it comes to receiving reviews. What we found is that the businesses that focus on providing a great customer experience and then letting the reviews accumulate organically are the ones that are having the most success. A couple reasons why. One of the main things is we find that if it becomes an arms race to try to accumulate as many reviews as you can, the quality of the reviews can tend to go down. Also, consumers are very savvy. We should give them credit. And so if a consumer lands on your page and it looks like all of your friends and family have left you glowing reviews, they may not necessarily take your page seriously, so something to consider. Also, if you're new to Yelp, just know that every business on Yelp starts with 0 reviews. And so if you take a look at any highly reviewed business and you sort the reviews by time, you'll see that oftentimes it's taken a certain period of time, a certain length of time to develop a base of quality reviews. So if you don't have any reviews on your Yelp listing, don't worry, start building out the content on your page, and we'll talk about that here. And this is an example of a completely built out Yelp listing. And this is all part of what you can do when you claim your free account. And from top to bottom, you want to add photos to your page. Absolutely, I think probably everyone in the room has headshots, so make sure you have your smiling faces up there on your listing if possible. Also, we have the ability to post a Yelp deal. It may not necessarily be as applicable with this group, but basically a way to monetize your Yelp listing. And if you're looking at Yelp as a consumer, just know that you'll see some of these popping up now on the site. And you can also, of course, add business hours, your hours of operation, your website. The main thing, the heart of the listing, down there where it says about this business, we give you 1,000 characters under the specialty section, the history section, and the meet the owner manager section to basically talk about your business, talk about the services you provide, and also talk about your background. And a lot of times, the product that you're selling is yourself, so you want to let people know what experience you have in the industry. And then you also have the ability to recommend like-minded businesses as well. So if you've got multiple locations, or if you've got partners, or if you have just contacts in the business world that are maybe not even in your same category, but they're also listed on Yelp, you have the ability to recommend up to 5 businesses on your Yelp listing as well. Also, you can post a check-in offer. This isn't necessarily as relevant for folks that don't have a brick-and-mortar business, but basically the check-in feature is something that's becoming more and more popular. It basically uses the GPS in your mobile phone to check in when you're physically at a business. We have a feature on there that allows you to post offers to incentivize people to check in. Basically what happens is somebody checks in on Yelp, it tells all of their Yelp friends that they're using your business or that they're at your business. You can also have it hooked up with Facebook and Twitter. So if somebody checks in, it's a potential to get your business broadcast out to Yelp, Facebook, and Twitter. So we provide this feature to incentivize people to check in. And then again, this is a more close-up of a Yelp deal. This is something that allows businesses to monetize their page. People can buy these directly from a Yelp listing as well as the mobile application. And then, how does Yelp make money? We sell advertising. So folks can build out your free listing. It doesn't cost you money to be listed on the site. If you do want to upgrade your page, this is the example of what an advertiser page looks like. We have a video player and photo slideshows, also removal of competitors' ads on the listings, and then search advertising is the main thing that you'll see on Yelp. If you're going through the natural search results, just to point out, everything with a number in front of it with a white background is the organic search results, and then above that is the sponsored search results that you'll see pop up. So in summary, the most successful businesses on Yelp are the ones that focus on providing a great customer experience and then let their reviews build organically. Also, don't overly focus on any single review, and what I mean by that is, it's impossible to please everyone 100% of the time. So oftentimes, every business out there might end up getting a negative review or two. It's not the end of the world if that happens, and also understand that business owners are going to look at their own listing very differently than consumers are going to look at that same listing. I find in talking to business owners, the folks that have got negative reviews usually know all of their negative reviews by heart. But if you think about how consumers are going to look at a page, you're looking at overall trends. So, let's say there's somebody out there that has a 4-star rating on Yelp, they've got 10 reviews, 8 out of 10 reviews are positive, 2 are negative. The average consumer is going to say, well, the majority of people are saying positive things about this person, so I'm going to go ahead and check them out. So just keep that in mind. And then also start using Yelp's free tools today. Biz.yelp.com is where you can go to claim your listing if it already exists on Yelp, or to create a new listing for yourself today and build out your Yelp listing. Also, another point for the folks who are going to be building out their Yelp listings from scratch, if you've already got an optimized website, you can copy and paste the content from your website over to your Yelp listing. It takes a matter of minutes to do that. So what I'll do now is open it up for questions if anyone has any. Yes? Yeah, you.
How do you keep it so they review you as the agent, not the company that you work with? Can you, since we're agents, you don't want to have a review based on another agent in your company, just yourself.
Got it. So his question is, how do you get them to review you as an agent and not your company? And so we give people the option to list themselves individually as an agent on the site. So if you are a real estate agent, you can list yourself with a Yelp listing. So that would kind of be the workaround. Otherwise, if it's just an overall Yelp listing for your entire company, then I recommend that the company, whoever's managing that listing, list out all of the agents under the specialty section that's working for that company so people can know that. I think I saw it, so I'll take you.
Can you give us an example of a realtor that's on?
Sure. Actually, I'm going to need an internet connection, so this might take a minute, because I do have internet. I'll have to get online and I'll pull it up for you guys.
And have you found that realtors are doing it organically and they're not going to people and saying do it because I don't know whether.
So you're talking more about accumulating reviews. Are people asking for reviews, or are they doing it organically?
Yes.
Yeah, and so basically to that point, while we recommend that you don't go out and solicit reviews, what you can do is let people know that you're on Yelp. And that's actually something that I do recommend that people do. And so there's 3 things that I see people doing that are letting people know that they're on Yelp in kind of a non-solicitous way. And one is, if you have email correspondence with your clients, put a link to your Yelp listing in your email auto signature with a line that says, check me out on Yelp, so people will see that you're on Yelp there. We also provide badges that you can put on your main website that act as a link back over to your Yelp listing. And then also, people are repurposing.
Is that free?
Yes,
Badges?
yeah, badges are free. Also, people are repurposing their business cards now as well. So the front side of your card has all your basic contact information. Back side of the card has a list of all the social media sites that you have a presence on. I see a lot of people doing that and making sure that they're just in conversation. Hey, check me out on Yelp or Facebook, Twitter, whatever you're listed on. Let's see if I can get an internet connection here.
Is Yelp an acronym for something?
No. Yelp is a condensed version of Yellow Pages.
Oh, Yellow Pages, okay.
Yeah. And it also rhymes with help. So I can't get an internet connection, but basically what you can do, a little bit of homework, is that if you are interested to see other real estate agents, just go on to Yelp in whatever city that you're listed in, just type in real estate agents. You'll be able to see the folks that are already listed on there. And you can get an idea of what people are doing on the site already. Yeah.
Is Yelp part of the Yellow Pages?
No,
No.
no,
No connection?
no connection.
How do you get your own name on it?
What's that?
To get your own name on it?
Create a profile.
Create a Yelp listing. So biz.yelp.com is where you want to go to create your own listing.
Okay. Right
Yes.
now, as per that first slide that you showed us, only about 8% of people who are on Yelp are looking for a business type transaction, correct? Okay, are you guys doing anything at Yelp to increase that usage for this type of, 8% home and local services. So, out of all the users of Yelp, only 8% of them are looking for like possibly a real estate type service, right? Are you guys at Yelp doing anything to bump that number up?
Well, part of what we're doing is things like this, going out and talking to groups in specific categories. And really, just to kind of explain this in a little bit greater detail, restaurants are usually kind of the low-hanging fruit when it comes to what people are going to review about, because again, people eat out a lot, so they have the most experiences with those. And now, what we're doing is going out and talking to folks, like yourselves, and just kind of educating people on this, because as you can see, there is already some demand for your vertical on the site. But we want to talk to people who are interested in creating more visibility and giving them another option with Yelp. Yes.
I know you said that you wanted the people to come to it organically rather than us prompting them to come to it.
Mm.
I think if you don't prompt them to come to it, I don't think they're going to come to it organically, because I don't think enough people are familiar with it to do that.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think they'll have a problem to do it. We have a big presence on Zillow, and Zillow gives you an option of requesting a review
Mhm.
after the transaction is done. I mean, they vet it, they make sure it's it's a real review, but they give you the option of doing that. Is that something that you said that you listen to your base? Is that something that you guys may be open to in the future?
Well, there's a really important distinction of what we're talking about. So it's absolutely okay to let people know that you're on Yelp. You can, if you're talking to somebody, hey, I have a listing on Yelp, go check it out. But there is a distinction between saying that and saying, hey, I'm on Yelp, here's my laptop, can you leave me a 5-star review? And that's what we're saying you want to avoid doing. At the end of the day, we're not policing, what people are doing in terms of soliciting, but we just recommend that you don't do that as a practice. Yeah.
How are you different than Angie's List?
I got that question earlier today, and let's see if it's still on here. So this is, you can go to Google Trends and you can do searches for comparisons of different terms. So this is City Search versus Yelp versus Angie's List since 2004, and this is looking at traffic. So basically, we're much greater in size. You can see, we started out back in 2004. We were kind of down there with Angie's List in terms of traffic. City Search was at that point really kind of the dominant player in the space. You can see how Yelp's traffic has grown. City Search has declined. Angie's List has stayed, kind of pretty stable. The other really important thing, part of the reason why, is because Angie's List is a paid service. So if somebody wants to look up businesses on Angie's List, they have to pay a subscription to do that. Yelp is free. Yeah. I think I saw, was there another hand over here?
Yeah.
Yes.
This goes back to the first question because I'm a little confused.
Sure.
When we go to register, working for a large company, do we register just our personal name as agent, as realtor? How do you recommend we set up the business from the beginning?
Yeah, so her question is how do we recommend setting up the business from the beginning? And I would actually have to kind of turn that back on you and ask you what's your goal? Do you want to have every agent having their own Yelp listing, or do you want the business itself to just have one standalone listing?
Well, I work for Prudential, so it's a very large company.
I see.
I guess would be towards myself personally. So do you then register your own personal name? What would you recommend?
Yeah, when you work for a company like Prudential, I would probably just recommend doing it on your own, because usually what happens is for large brands like that, if you're talking about all of the Prudential agents wanting to create Yelp listings and get that managed, that usually gets into a paid solution. But for you individually, I would recommend that you just create your own Yelp listing for yourself.
As my own personal name or as Prudential, how do you recommend that first screen? the first thing it asks you is your business name.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. So like your name and then Prudential.
Is that how you do it, or?
I'll have to double check on that, because from what my understanding is, I do see people list themselves as their name and then the company that they work for. But you might also want to check with your company if you have naming standards. And I'm more than happy to follow up with you directly offline and talk more about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Why can't you write a review from the app? You can only draft it. Why is that?
That's a great question. So he asked, why can't you write a review from the Yelp mobile app? And so basically, what we allow people to do on the mobile app is post quick tips, but we purposefully did not allow people to review businesses from the mobile app because we don't want the quality of reviews to go down. A lot of times, especially if you're texting people, you know, you use text speak like LOL, BTW, things like that, not real words. We don't want people to start doing that when they're leaving reviews and have you know, lower quality reviews from cell phones getting posted to the site. Yes.
In listening today, and these reviews seem to be real super important, and when we're asking people to, let's say we're asking somebody, we just sold their house and we asked them to write a review, there seems to be so many different places where the reviews can be. Why should we ask them if we have one? We're not going to ask them, oh, and by the way, would you put it on Google, and would you put it on Facebook, and would you put it on Yelp, and would you put it on Zillow, and do all that? Why should we send them to Yelp as opposed to Zillow or Google, or what makes Yelp the one to send them to? Because ultimately we're going to have to decide, because we can't ask people to do a review and put it on 6 different places.
Right.
Like that's
Sure.
like.
Sure.
Yes.
And so basically, and so for folks in the back, her question was, you know, there's all these different options out there. Why would you want to direct somebody to Yelp specifically? And again, you know, back to what we were talking about a moment ago, it's absolutely okay to let people know that you're on Yelp. You know, that's completely fine. When it comes to what we're talking about with the different, you know, lists out here, I don't have stats on Zillow, but you know, Zillow is also a good site for folks in your industry to check out. Having said that, you want to look at kind of the audience and also how you're positioning yourself, because at the end of the day, there's not really going to be a downside to you having a presence on Yelp, because again, if you are an early adopter and in your particular region, you know, if it does begin to get a lot of traction, then you've got the advantage of having already been on there and having established your presence. Does that make sense? So basically, you know, what you don't want to happen is, you know, let's say it does become a lot larger in your particular region, and you know, then there's 20 other agents now in your area that are already listed on the site and they've already got built out presences, and then you're kind of late to the game, so to speak. So, I mean, really it's ultimately your decision how you want to do that, but again, what we're talking about today is for folks that are, especially in the regions where it's just developing, you have an opportunity to be an early adopter, so to speak. Yes?
So I'm in a smaller office, and you said that we could list agents under a specialty. So then does that mean if someone Googles my agent, will my office come up?
Now, you're talking about Google. Google's separate from Yelp. Yelp results
No,
do.
If someone Googles my agent to check them out, will they come up on their Yelp listing under my office?
Well, if somebody searches for something on Google, Yelp results do index pretty highly in Google search results, but we don't have any control over how certain things place in Google. So it's completely separate. Yes?
But you guys do play in the search engine optimization, correct? I mean, that's what we've been told basically.
Well, you know, it's actually kind of worked out to our benefit because we have so much content, you know, the 21 million reviews, that Google tends to kind of favor us in search results in certain regions, certain scenarios, because we have so much great content on the site. We don't have a formal relationship with them, though, in that respect. We just kind of are fortunate to have so many great reviews on the site. Yes?
As a broker, if you have agents, should the agents, would you suggest the agents have their own page in addition to the company page, or like you were saying, add them in the content? If somebody is Googling them, do they get more advantage to have their own page as opposed to being on a brokerage page?
Well, you know, ultimately, again, it depends on what your specific goals are, and I would say if you've got a smaller brokerage and maybe just a few people, you might want to have that consolidated. But if
There's a brokerage and agents, we want to suggest to the agents what's the best way, and if somebody is going to Google them, that they would come up. Is it better for the agents to have their own page, or is it better for them to be directed towards the company?
So, and her question again is revolving around Google search for folks in the back. So what she's asking is, it to an agent's benefit to have a separate Yelp listing apart from the overall brokerage, because will it benefit them in kind of Google search results from an SEO standpoint? To be direct with you, I don't have the answer to that question because I don't know, what Google is going to favor in those situations. But what I can say is that if you do have multiple listings for your brokerage and your agent, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The one thing you want to think about is, as the gentleman brought up, if you do have two separate Yelp listings, there may be a situation where maybe the agent gets a review on that brokerage's page, even though they've got their own separate Yelp listing. So again, it depends on what your goals are, but just know that that could be a scenario. And if you're okay with that happening, then you can have two. But if your goal is to have those agents reviewed specifically as that agent on their own Yelp listing, then you want to have them be separate.
So you wouldn't link them between the two if their name was on the brokerage page and they had their own. You wouldn't take that review and put it to both.
No, people can only post a review on the individual business. Now, you do have the ability to recommend other businesses. You can recommend up to 5 businesses. So what I've seen some folks do is they'll have a kind of a master listing for the overall brokerage, and then under the business recommendation section, recommend those individual agents' Yelp listings as well. And that's a way to kind of tie them all together. Were there any other questions? All right, great. Well, thank you very much. You guys have been a great audience, and outreach at Yelp.com is your email address. Thank you.